One of the most powerful nations in the world, America has one of the wealthiest people that there is. America is a place of great businessmen and women, but the richest people are in general men. But according to Forbes, there are women that are quietly in the race as well. In this video, we will tell you about one of the richest women in the US. So let's get started. Miriam Adelson. Coming up is this woman with a huge fortune of $31 billion. Born in Tel Aviv, the capital of Israel, the daughter to parents who migrated from Poland to Israel, she is not only the richest woman in America, but she is the richest Israeli that exists. But she also ranks at the 44th place as the richest person in the world. She owns quite the casinos in Las Vegas, and if you've ever went to those places, know that you have made some money for Miriam. Miriam Adelson has massive sales in Las Vegas-based casino company Sands. But how did she make this fortune? Well, let's look into her history a bit. So, in her long life that she lived, she is leaving behind quite the legacy, and has many accomplishments to her name. She started off her education in the bachelor's degree of microbiology and genetics, and then opted for a medical degree from the University of Tel Aviv. She served as a medical officer in the mandatory army service, worked as a physician for a little time, and then also started a substance abuse research center, but soon realized that was not the life and the career that she wanted, and it clearly didn't make her one of the richest women in the US. She got married to a guy named Ariel Orkshorn, and has 2 children, but later they got divorced in the 80s. Later on, she married a billionaire, Sheldon Adelson, and that's where she gets her last name from. This is where her journey as a billionaire began. Sheldon Adelson was the former chairman and CEO of one of the most renowned casinos and resort companies in America called Sands. It's worth $28.7 billion. After acquiring the company in 1988, Sheldon changed the whole face of what we see as the billion-dollar company. He expanded it, and it became an intracontinental and multinational company with its roots laying all over America and even abroad. He transformed the company into what it is today. And by the time of his retirement, his net worth alone was $36.5 billion, and he owned the majority of the shares in the Sands company. This is how Miriam landed her billions. But wait, the story doesn't end there. We got more to tell you, so don't stay away. When Adelson died at the age of 87, he was one of the wealthiest people in the world. And after his death, he left most of his fortune to his wife. And that made Miriam the largest shareholder of one of the biggest gambling companies in America, with its roots expanded as far as China. Miriam since then has been an active member of her society, and considering her billionaire status, she is involved in a lot of political campaigns and services. She's given tens and thousands of dollars into the political people that she supported during the elections. Jacqueline Mars. The next woman comes from a strong family background as well. But don't focus on her last name. She specifically isn't from the Mars planet. Let me explain. Jacqueline Mars, with a fortune of $33.3 billion, ranks among one of the richest women in the US, and worldwide, she has a rank of 39th richest person on the earth. Not even this. It must be surprising that she is not only one of the richest women, but has a whole candy named after her. Mars. Does it ring a bell? Jacqueline Mars is an American investor and the heiress of one of the most renowned chocolate and candy companies in the world, Mars. Jacqueline and her brother named John own 1/3 of the company and have a lot of shares to their name. Both of them inherited this company, which was first started by their grandfather, Frank C. Mars, in 1911. Jacqueline didn't start off immediately, so let's look a bit into her history. Jacqueline was born in Washington, where her Mars family actually came from. Being from a wealthy family, she attended the first girls' boarding school, which is located in New England at Pittsfield. After attending school, she joined the Bryn Mawr College, where she pursued her degree in anthropology. Due to her interest, but then due to the family business, she got into her grandfather's company, where she worked as a food group president for over 20 years until 2011. That is where she earned her actual place. She became a part of the board that led the company and worked there until 2016, after which she retired. She worked tirelessly to bring about multiple improvements in the candy business, and quite proved herself. Today, the Mars company alone is over $40 billion of worth, and Mars is listed among one of the most purchased chocolates in the world, along with M&M's, Skittles, Snickers, Dairy Milk, etc. The company, along with different candies, also sells pet food and runs animal care centers as well. Maybe because Jacqueline loves dogs? Who knows? Anyways, not only the Mars company made the chocolates, it also started coming up with different other food products such as the Domino pasta, the famous Orbit spearmint, and the Combos crackers as well. If you have a pet, you must have heard of the Pedigree dog food. Well, that is also a product of the Mars company. Jacqueline was on a part for more than 3.5 decades. Now, Mars has made it to the shelves and aisles of almost every superstore and supermarket in the world. And it's to no surprise, one of the fastest-selling candies that are there. Due to Jacqueline's love for horses, the company doesn't make chocolates for the horses, but they do train them. Jacqueline has been a part of the donations made to the U.S. Equestrian Team Foundation and has helped to train dozens of different horses and their riders. Julia Koch. Moving on to our next rich list woman is Julia Koch, with a net worth of $53 billion. Whoa, that's a lot, ain't it? She is said to be among the top 10 richest women in the US and the rest of the world as well, and 24th on the list of the richest people in the world. So Julia belongs to one of the richest billionaire families in the world and was the wife of David Koch, who was the owner of Koch Industries, the second largest privately held company in the entire world. Julia was born in 1962 in Iowa farming and worked at her parents' small furniture business, but then tired from her current life. She decided to move on from her little shell and went to New York in 1980, where by luck she struck a chance to work as an assistant for the fashion designer Adolfo. But her journey to the throne began when she went on a blind date with David Koch in 1991. Yes, fellas, blind dates were popular as they are now, even back then. For Julia, the blind date experience was quite a roller coaster because her date went terribly. Don't all the blind dates go terribly? I wouldn't know. Anyways, after a failed attempt at many blind dates, she finally met David Koch a year later at a party. And that's where they felt the spark. Both of them began dating eventually, and later on got married in 1996. She lived with David in the Fifth Avenue apartments. But then they moved to New York's most luxurious, extravagant, and expensive residential area, the legendary 740 Park Avenue in Manhattan. It still holds its title for one of the most luxurious places to live in New York. And it has quite a history of having famous and rich owners such as John D. Rockefeller. The richest man in Egypt named Nasser Sawiris also owned an apartment there. And not only this, the French government decided to purchase an apartment there for their own ambassador. David Koch died in 2019, leaving behind a widowed Julia, his 3 children, David Jr., Mary and John, and also billions of dollars worth of money and assets. The family inherited 42% of the shares of Koch Industries. By the time David died, he was the 7th richest man in the world. So eventually, after his death, Julia got a fortune of $53.5 billion, becoming one of the richest women in America and the top 10 richest women in the world. That was all from our side. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already.